We ready? My hair's, I'm all right.
I'm good. It looks good.
All right. Yeah, you're not letting the side down.
How's my helmet looking?
Shiny.
Hey.
And we have
Shiny.
Oh, you said helmet before I said bender. Anyway. Bonjour, everyone.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
How are we all?
Doing good?
I'm good. Amber,
Doing awesome.
you must be fantastic because you've got a gazillion views.
Yeah.
I know, it's like it's freaky for me. I'm like, I didn't know there were that many people out there watching my video. So apparently there are now.
I'm glad you could grace us with some time out from your tens of thousands of views.
Nah, the hogCAST is a priority in my books. It's got a little gold star next to it.
Love you.
Wow.
You. Come back next time as well now. Liz, are you receiving us over?
I am receiving. You all good?
Excellent. Yeah. And Taters? Taters is Taters.
Always.
So, benders.
Yes.
Liz, you giggling?
No.
No, look, everyone's
Come on.
Listen, I'm over it. You've got to go over it. This is the Benders special.
This is the right. So we've got to say a thank you to your commenter, Summit, haven't we? For giving us the Netflix Bender show.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So Summit.
Yeah, thank you, Summit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A special
Here it is.
bonjour, special bonjour shout out. Should we do that? Should we do that in next podcast? Like anyone who's going to lead me, because I do need comments.
Yeah.
Silence is golden on my channel. Fucking hell.
We gotta engage them. We gotta ask them questions. Like, tell me about it in the comments.
Yeah,
I mean, I
think I need to start liking people more. I think
that normally helps. Yeah, being personable and sort of like.
Does it come across on the videos that I really, really don't like anyone? No, I'm only joking.
a bit of a deterrent.
You've got a rabbit on my t-shirt. What's the name, Phil?
I gotta see what that shirt is. Stand up a bit.
Oh, it's from Star Wars Celebration.
Oh, it's a Star Wars rabbit. Yeah, I did not see any of the. I was just like, why is he wearing a weird ass rabbit shirt?
I did,
Angry rabbit.
His name is Jackson.
That's
Jackson.
It. What his name? Jackson with an X and an X.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
2 X's or one?
Yeah, 2 X's.
2 X's, yeah.
Jackson. Yeah.
I think his first appearance was Star Wars issue 8, was it?
Oh, it was a long time ago. Yeah.
In a galaxy far, far away. Ha ha. Anyway, enough of that. I didn't have a Bender t-shirt.
I was meant to have, but mine didn't turn up. But
this is the Avatar, the Last Airbender special. Now, how should we go about this? Because I think this is going to be really interesting. Because Amber, Taters, used to are, well, especially you, Amber, are up on the lore, LORE, and the old. Was it manga? Let me ask you a couple of questions, you two, first. It wasn't manga first, it's just a cartoon.
Nickelodeon.
Right. Yeah, and I noticed that. Netflix in association with Nickelodeon. Right. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be interesting because you two are hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Liz are I'm assuming, the wider audience.
Yeah.
These shows, and the amount of money they cost, we are the wider audience that they need to appeal to, that either hasn't seen the cartoon or may have heard of it, or their kids watched it as they were growing up and you just sat them in front of it. Otherwise, why do a live action? That's what I'm assuming. So I don't know who to go with. I don't know what to do first. Whether to do
I really want to hear from the non-viewers, like the non-fans. Like, I want to hear you guys, because that first episode was like an experiment, because if you didn't watch my video, then you didn't hear basically that it was a struggle trying to figure out how much information do we put in here, and do we have to repeat a bunch of it, because people weren't getting the mythology of the world. And so they just had to keep adding in more and more until they're like, okay, people who've never been exposed to this kind of world before, now they're getting it. But now we have a problem. It feels kind of like it's too much. So what do we do? Well, we need a bigger audience. We need the people who've never seen this or had exposure to it to enjoy it. So we kind of have to go with what we've got right now. So
Yeah.
what did you guys think?
Liz, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, first episode, I thought they got the balance spot on, to be honest.
Really?
It gave me everything I needed to know. It set up the world, and it just rocked along for me. I think the first episode was probably, combine it with the whole season. If I was to say the two best episodes, the first and last episode for me are the two best episodes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
the first episode for me set everything up nicely. I liked how we saw Aang, I believe it was at the end of the first episode, when he went back to the air temple
Mhm.
after the 100 years. I think that emotional hook got me in straight away. I was quite surprised to see the time jump. I was quite surprised that he'd been frozen for 100 years. I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, it was quite a nice. There was a lot that happened in that episode, but there was no issues for me with the pacing. I got all the information I needed, and it set up the world nicely for me. So yeah, first episode for me, I had no issues at all. I thought it was spot on, and I really enjoyed it.
Did you feel like it was
Excellent.
exposition heavy and there was a lot of repetition, or did you need that?
I didn't feel like there was much repetition, to be honest. I felt like
Oh.
the story just moved along nicely, and if there was any repetition, I didn't really pick up on it. I just got the world, and I was thrown straight into this crazy, mad world, which I thought was really cool.
And I concur with Liz, to be fair. That first episode, I was in and not knowing, just going in raw. Like no lube, don't know anything. Come on, it's a Bender special. And I just thought, right, no, and I relaxed. I thought, right, what have I got to, and I did relax. And I don't know where you're thinking maybe repetition come from, Amber, but for me,
Taters knows what I'm talking about.
right, but we'll get to that. But for me, the same as Liz, it gave me everything I needed to know, and I thought it was so well staged when they attacked the air kingdom, whatever it's called, the air country,
The
whatever.
temple.
Yeah, air temple, all that, and the fireballs were coming down, and it was at night as well, which helps with CGI. I don't know if we're going to get onto some CGI, but not that it's been bad. But I think at night time you can get away with a lot more. So, and the fight scenes were good.
I think as well, the little actor that played Aang was awesome. He was spot on in that episode.
And
He was good.
I like the fact that there was, they were wiped out. They didn't, and then there was it in episode 1 where the guy from the Earth country and the bloke burnt him. He just went, all right, we've tricked you. And he just went, and just burnt him. I thought, oh, yes. It was almost, right, it was almost Game of Thrones-esque in the consequences of what the Fire Kingdom and the big bad wants to do. I thought, oh, if his moustache wasn't so long, I thought he was going to twiddle it and go, what? And I thought, yes. But then,
see, my question is
all that mayhem and chaos, and I get it. They established Aang, loved it, but then after that, and by the way, I've only got to the end of the 3rd episode because other than that, no one's getting barely a scratch anymore, and then it's reached for me that the consequence part of it has reached that. Then you went to in episode 2, the Kyoshi Island and all that. I thought, oh yeah, this is good. Warrior women and all that. Yes, come on. And the Kyoshi Avatar, or is that what she was called?
Yeah, Avatar Kyoshi.
That she was awesome. Like teaching, like telling poor little Oang, he's going, what? And she's going, look, this is how you do it. And she's going, whoosh. Yeah. For 2 episodes.
Whoosh. I'm going to remember that.
She's going, look, this is how you do it. And she was going whoosh over there and whoosh over there this is how you do it. And then episode 3 comes along and I thought, oh my God, like this is now we're in, but I don't know if that's just the lull. That's just
That's interesting.
I thought the beginning, those first 2 episodes, I thought were, for me as a newbie, the characters were good, acting was good. I know a lot of people are talking about the dialogue, but other than the odd, but episode 3, I've got to admit, the dialogue, I was thinking, there were some lines there. I thought, oh my God, they were a bit cringe. But other than that, no, nothing that's
My question is around episode 1. So for me, what was the hook for me was the when he was in the air temple, the old man that was helping him, like sort of his teacher.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So I liked that, obviously, the 100-year time jump. Then when he goes back and he sees the body, and that little connection there, that was the hook for me, because now it felt like it's given him a bit of, giving him a bit of a sort of a push to go, right, I need to sort this out. But I think, like sort of what Hog was saying, I think in the first sort of about 10 minutes, if I was to be really nitpicking, the first sort of like 10 minutes, 20 minutes of the show, it seemed like, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it seemed like dialogue that had been taken directly out of a cartoon instead of necessarily being adapted for live action, if that makes any sort of kind of sense. But that's me being really, really nitpicky. I've got nothing bad to say really about that first episode. I think it was paced well, and I think it did everything that it needed to. My question was, from the cartoons, do they do the setup the same as they did in the live action? Is it different?
Tayters?
Slightly different. It's all the main beats are bang on. All the main beats, all the things you need to know are absolutely spot on. How you get to those beats is slightly adjusted. But no, it's quite faithful. I mean, in everything, there's not a lot really they didn't do apart from Flopsy.
Flopsy wasn't.
We didn't get Flopsy.
Okay, so basically that first
two statues.
So just from my understanding, so basically they've taken the template from the cartoon for that for the setup, which is episode 1. They've moved things around to make more of an emotional impact.
It's definitely in a different order. Things are slightly
The cartoon's opening scene is the 2 kids on the canoe, and then they discover Aang, and they're like, who are you? And he's like, I'm just out having a great time. And they're like, okay. And then they realize he's been frozen for 100 years, and he goes, oh man, 100 years. And then, Zuko attacks, and he gets captured, and then he escapes, and then they go to the Southern Air Temple, and he's like, where is everybody? Like, everybody's gone. Like this, like he knows that it's been 100 years, but it hasn't hit him yet that everybody's like dead. And then he comes across Gyatso's body, and he goes into the Avatar state, freaks out, and then realizes he really is the last airbender. And then we go off to Kyoshi. Here, what they did, I loved, first of all, that they start out with that action sequence chasing down the earthbender in the Fire Nation. There's never been an explanation for how did the Fire Nation take out all the air temples at once. Like, that's a huge thing. So what they did was they said, we've directed all of our attention to the Earth Kingdom. That's where everybody's defenses are going to be. And all of the air nomads are going to be at one place. So we're going to just attack that one place. It's like, this is a great explanation. So like what Taters was saying, they like filled in holes. They honored the source material by saying, what would enhance this, make it better, and work for the world? Like, they did it. So that I thought was great. They showed the genocide, which was everybody was like, oh no, you shouldn't show the genocide because it's going to take away from the playfulness of the show. And I'm like, well, okay, the show gets pretty serious towards the last season. So you can start out childlike and then get super serious, which is like what the Harry Potter movies did. Or you can say, let's just amp up the seriousness a bit and make sure that Aang really acknowledges and feels the impact of everybody I love was wiped out. And for us, the audience, seeing that genocide, seeing him playing around with his friends, we do get the episode where we see him playing around with his friends and being told he's the Avatar, and then he runs away, but not until like episode 8 of season 1. Like, we never know what his emotional attachment is to the air nomads, except that we know that, oh, well, it was his family and his friends, but we don't see it and experience it ourselves until 8 episodes down the line. So they put that here up at the front before the genocide. So you're watching the towers of the temple being bombed down, and you're hearing that tragic music, and I'm going, oh my gosh. Even though I already knew what was coming, I was taken on the journey of like, here are people who I've come to love and see that they're these peaceful people. They have this wonderful world that they live in. Aang loves them, and then we're seeing their world destroyed.
It
And
was
then
a
we're with
great opening. It was a
it was
great
great.
that
It was really great.
Bible was
I
coming.
think the way they've done it in live actions works really, really well.
I do too. I think it was one of those rare things where I'm going, that was better than what they did in the
Right.
animation. And in the animation, remember, very much directed at children. This is like the children are now 30 and 40 and 50 years old who watched that show. So we have to make this like a little more appealing to adults. And I think they did it.
Absolutely.
So that's what we meant by the rearrangement. Like it's all faithful, but it has been rearranged, I think, to the benefit of a new audience and I think an old audience. It hit me more this time.
The only
it's
thing
clearly
I can
worked.
liken this to, the only thing I can liken this to is comic book adaptions. Not even book adaptions, because and it's that word adaption, because it's interesting that this is only a cartoon, and I don't mean that in a horrible, like in a detrimental way. It's only a cartoon. I mean that people, was it 4 series of cartoon of
3
books.
You got 3 series of cartoons that people want to see adapted into live action, and I can only compare that to when I would be scrutinizing something adapted from a comic, but I don't mind. Adapt away. Just don't lose the essence of it, the feel of it. And like it's interesting that you're saying, Amber, about the childlike quality, because at the moment, at episode 3, that's what's grating on me now. The fact that episode 1 started out strong, you're seeing the massacre of the entire country, the genocide, as you said. And then episode 2 kind of is a really good follow-up to that. And you've got another couple of good characters come along. And you've got that nice little romance going on between, what's his name?
Sokka. And Suki.
Him. Yeah, and Godzuki. No, got him, and I like that on the Kyoshi, and I was having that fight. You know what's coming, but I thought that was really handled nicely. But it really is still in the young adult.
Yeah,
I'm all right. But if episode 1 was here, and then episode 2 is here, and I'm thinking, all right, still it's a bit young adult, but they're doing it nicely. Then episode 3 just went down into, oh wow, this is a cartoon now, and I've got a bloke with 2 swords with hooks on the end, and all he's doing is he's catching the bottom of someone's trouser leg and making them trip up, and he's got, with the other sword, he's just tugging on the sleeve of the other bloke. And he's going like that, and no one's getting hurt now. And I thought, oh wow, like, how have we gone from that to that? But with the childlike quality, but is it going to get? Not that I want to see violence and gore, but does it ramp up towards the end of the season?
I would say it ramps up. So for me, so for me watching it, I was the first 2. I'm with you. I was loving it. Episode 3 and 4 sort of dipped for me, and I felt that was a bit more of a chore to get through. But then when that the spider thing that steals faces in the spirit world shows up, I don't know what it's called, but it doesn't give away too much.
Spoilers on this planet. Come on.
When Ko turns up, that really, really ramped it up for me, because I thought that was a really like cool, awesome idea. And then it just sort of went back up, and then it's sort of done sort of like it started off high, went down, and then went back up to the same high for me. So that's sort of the journey the series took me on. I'd say 3 and 4 were the episodes that were slow for me, but then it ramped up again and again, and it went back to the highs of the first episode.
I think so. Like episode 3 and 4 are combining 3 different episodes together. So you had the Kingdom of Omashu. That's one episode where you've got the king and you've got the slides and, Aang meeting the king and it's his old friend. You've got that episode. Okay. Then there's another episode called Jet, and it's just about Jet and his freedom fighters and what they're doing. And they're in a completely different part of the world. Like they're not there at Omashu. And then you have the mechanist, who's the engineer guy, and his son in the wheelchair who can fly. That is another separate episode. And they've taken all 3 of these episodes and smushed them together.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and also the episode with Iroh getting captured.
Yes.
That is a separate episode as well.
Yes.
So they've taken actually all these episodes, smushed them all together, put them in one, and the way it was done is actually pretty ingenious. Like it managed to on its own feel like this works. It's a lot of stuff, but I think on its own it works. When people watch it, they go, "Wait a minute, that's not how it happened." You know, they shouldn't even be here. Like, they've had to change Jet's story a little bit. They had to change the Mechanist's story a little bit, but they're still kind of playing the same roles. They're still Jet, his arc where what they discover about Jet is still the same, basically. What they discover about the Mechanist is still the same, basically. So
The Boomy stuff, I felt like it was rushed. That's
Yeah.
probably my only critique in
What
that
stuff, Taylor?
with King Boomy,
Oh, right. Okay.
the old king with the funny eye.
he's the most changed out of everybody.
It just
his
felt
character is
rushed.
different.
And it was because that's like a really fun storyline in the cartoon. You watch that, and there's just a lot more that goes on between Aang and Boomy, you know, to get back to being friends again. And it's just,
Yeah.
I felt that was a little bit
But
rushed.
the thing
So
is
why do you
this.
think that decision was made then? Why do you think, like, because you are adapting word adaptation? So
Well,
if
it is coming.
book, you know, whatever you're adapting, book, comic, cartoon, you've got to, it sounds like everything's got to be condensed down. The original cartoon, nevertheless, it's still got to be condensed.
Mhm.
So why do you think they made that decision with King
Well-
Boomy? What is it? Was that the least intriguing storyline, or?
I think it's this. It was a goofy story. So Boomy in the cartoon remembers who Aang is. Obviously, he does in the live action too. And he's like, "I'm going to put you through all these tests, and you have to decide." You know, he's giving him these weird tests. They're like fun though. They're hilarious. Like, he has to go and find his missing pet, and then he has to get the key to his lunchbox or something?
Key to his lunchbox.
Key to his lunchbox, and like all these goofy little tests. And then at the end, he shows him like 3 huge earthbender warrior guys in this pit, and he's like, "You have to pick someone in here to fight." And then Aang's like, "All right, I'm gonna fight you," you know, thinking he's being all clever. You're an old man. And he's like, "Are you sure about that?" And he takes off his shirt, and he's like ripped. And he's like, "Oh, snap." So he fights King Boomy, and then at the end, he's like, "And you get another test." And he's like, what the hell? Like, what? You said only 3 tests. I've done them all. And now he's like, "All you have to do is guess what is my name." And then he figures out, "Oh, you're my friend Boomy." And the lesson that Aang learns is, when you're fighting firebenders and being the Avatar, you have to learn how to think like a mad genius, think out of the box. Now, wouldn't that have been kind of a less impactful story for something that has this kind of weight behind it? My personal feeling was, yeah. And I totally loved the playfulness of Boomy in the show, but how would you fit that into
the
this?
live action?
Yeah, it would have been so out of place.
childlike.
Playful. Like the big lesson is learn how to think out of the box. I mean, Aang kind of already does that anyway, just because he's an airbender. But I mean, we loved it in the cartoon because it was so funny.
Yeah.
But in this show, I don't think it would have worked. So they said, okay, he's going to have lost hope. He's still nutty as hell, right? But we're going to have him do essentially similar things. The big thing is fight Boomy, but we're going to give it some emotional weight here. And that's where we get I loved his speech. Boomy's speech, I thought, was one of the best. Like, I had to make decisions. Do I feed the orphans who are starving, or do I feed the last division of soldiers who are protecting us? Like, I've had to make those decisions every single day. And then he's holding the rock over Aang and the rock over himself, and Aang's holding them up. Sorry, not Boomy. And he's like, "So, you know, make a decision. Like, I've had to do this for 100 years and you haven't. So, you know, this is what life is. It sucks."
Choices,
and then, I'm not sure how I feel about the resolution. I liked what it said, that Aang is going to be different because he's going to rely on his friends and he's going to not be alone. Like, that's his big thing. It did feel like, oh, they got there right in the nick of time. But it didn't mind me that bother me that much. But I think
mean,
that what they did with Boomy was good. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
You're
no, I'll
talking.
say we know Boomy's coming back as well, so
Yeah,
it might be let's take some elements from that and move it over later in season 2, season 3, what have you.
that's true. Yeah, because
So
so
yeah,
all these 3 characters, the Mechanist, Boomy, and Jet, they have much bigger roles later on. There are lots of little side characters that had to be cut, but these 3 do come back.
I thought the Mechanist was a good character, like intriguing character. And what was it, old Saki, whatever his name is,
Saka.
where you're getting a bit more of him.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just that little bit of background. He's quite 2-dimensional, but I'm thinking, but they go there and they kind of flesh him out. So you're wanting to see how his character develops. There's a lot of good stuff going on there, but I think it maybe what Liz is saying. I've got to motor through 3. Well, I've done 3, motor through 4.
Yeah,
and it kind of comes to. But
see, I when I was watching it in my head, because obviously I'm got everything else in there from previous, and I felt it was at times they're sort of like taking their time to get to a point, but then rushing the point.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good observation, I think.
Yeah. It's just like, right, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Right. We're done. Go, move. Let's go somewhere else.
Right.
That's what I got from it. I honestly thought at the end, and again, this is because I've got 20 episodes of the cartoon in my head, they could have done with another 2 episodes.
I wonder if so I do know that the first episode was 15 minutes longer originally, and they cut it down to this.
Right.
And I felt like it could have used that extra 15 minutes. And I actually felt like I tried to ask myself, could they have used an extra couple of episodes, or could they have just used more minutes in the episodes that they had? I think they could have gotten away with just more minutes in the episodes that they had.
Possibly. Yeah. Extend them out a little bit.
Yeah.
I would have definitely had 15 more minutes of episode 1.
Yeah, 100%.
And also, and I'm thinking now you've said that, Amber, I'm thinking, well, are the higher ups at Netflix wondering, like saying, no, you've got to hit a format? But then you think about Stranger Things and the last series that they did.
Yeah.
And then you had, I mean, what was it? It was so random, wasn't it? You had like a 40-minute episode, an hour.
2.5 hour episode.
And they didn't care. They just went, ha, this is what we're doing.
That was Stranger Things, though.
Do you want to watch it or not?
Yeah.
So I wonder if the decision was made like in this day and age. Well, someone somewhere must have made the decision that those 15 minutes were inconsequential or unnecessary. Or
I know some of it was moved to like the second episode, but not all of it.
Fair enough. Yeah. So it's just a matter of.
To me, it was just, I felt like episode 1 could have used more. Actually, all the episodes I felt, and it wasn't even the episode so much as certain scenes, like what you said, Taters.
Yeah.
Certain scenes could have breathed a bit more. Like, okay, even Aang talking to Appa. I love that he is open and like very honest in his feelings talking to Appa, because that's Aang. That's very much Aang. He's one of those people who kind of just says what he's thinking, but only to certain people, and Appa would be one of them. And I wanted his speech to be like an extra minute, maybe 2 minutes long. Like that may be too long, but a full minute longer, because he was going line after line after line. And I felt like even if we just had him pausing and thinking, and we could see the changes in his emotions happening between his lines, would have made that scene flow a little bit better, feel a little more natural. Instead, it was, they said I'm supposed to save the world. They don't even trust me to, feed the baby appas or whatever. And I'm supposed to be the avatar. I don't want this power. I just want to, they say I have to know who I am, but I'm supposed to give, like it just was one line after another. And that's not the fault of the actor. I think that could be either editing, like they cut out those breathing moments, or it could be the director not saying, let's do this again, but really take your time with it. Because that, to me, it was like, okay, are the lines rough, or is it something else? Because that's something I'm asking myself a lot in here, is like, is this performance, is this directing, or is this the lines themselves? And I think sometimes it's the lines, but like that moment wasn't. But yeah, Taters, I think you got it. Those rushed moments that could have breathed a bit more would have been nice.
Well, the bit that stood out to me that really sort of, because Episode 1, I'm going to use the word clunky. It wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was bad. It was just a little bit like, that's what I felt. Episode 2, when they go to Kyoshi Island. Now, obviously, they're pretty much hitting the same points that they hit in the cartoon, but for some reason, the Sokka and Suki relationship just seemed to be, there it is. It was like, woof. Oh, right, okay. They're together now. They're a couple, whatever. It just seemed like they took a little while to get there with the sly looks and all the bits and pieces, and it was just rush, done. It was just, I don't know. It just confused me a little bit, I suppose. But
I wonder if part of it's like you were expecting it to come, but also I can't remember now. I've watched the episode twice, and now I can't believe I'm still struggling to remember. Did he like get attracted to her right away, or was it just?
There was the sly looks, weren't there?
Yeah.
They had a sly look at each other.
Yeah.
There was a little side eye here and there. There was a little smirk, little grin.
Yeah. In the book, that didn't happen till they were in the middle of her training him, and he kind of started to like, or not in the book, in the animation.
In the cartoon, yeah.
I've got 2 comments. One, I really enjoyed Scarface and his uncle's storyline.
Scarface.
Yeah.
Say hello to my little friend.
Yeah, I like the storyline with him, and I like the relationship with his uncle. I really enjoyed that. And secondly, obviously, I haven't seen the cartoon, and I'm stuck onto this since episode 1. They mentioned an otter penguin. What the hell is that? And do we ever see it?
In the cartoon, you do
see it. You did see it, because I had to go back because I caught it in the background. It was in the beginning of the first episode. I caught it in the background on the iceberg. And I was like, I had to rewind and go back and stop it. And it's there.
There was one.
Okay, yeah. I need to see what this thing looks like.
In the cartoon, they sled on them. They like get on them and they slide down a mountain.
That's pretty cool. Someone in the art department, in the animation department, or CGI, whatever you want to call it, has gone, yeah, let's put one of them penguins in the background.
Right, now, but if they did that, you lead me on to my biggest. I was about to say upset, but I wasn't upset.
Go on.
But the one thing that stood out to me that kept bugging me throughout the whole season, Zuko's eyebrow. No, he shouldn't have an eyebrow. He doesn't have an eyebrow.
I wanted his scar to be. Yeah. So in the cartoon, he doesn't even have an ear. He's got like his whole eye is mutilated. It doesn't open all the way anymore. He's got no eyebrow. His ear is gone. Like he's really been mutilated.
Right.
I don't know why they didn't have it more dramatic in the live action.
Like I say, I'm being I'm being obtuse. That's right.
I must admit,
but it was
really
just the eyebrow thing. Because the only reason I noticed it more so is because every now and again, when he turned his head, 1 minute there's 2 scars running through his eyebrow, and the next minute they're not there. And then they're back again. There's a couple of little scars that run through his eyebrow when he's turning around, and then they disappear. In certain shots, they're gone.
I did not notice that. Good catch.
But that was the bit that got me. It was like, just take the eyebrow away, and you won't have that problem.
If you're watching that, you're bored.
No, I'm not bored. I can't help seeing things like that.
If you what is the director that said if you're it was who's the director that did French Connection?
Pass. But all it was like the penguin on the back of the iceberg. I thought I saw it, so I had to rewind and watch it again. And then I see the eyebrow, and it's like, what is that? What?
I must say, Zuko's story was really good, especially like I say, I really like the uncle.
I really like Iroh. He's fantastic.
Yeah, I thought, especially when we saw the flashbacks of, I think it was his son's funeral, wasn't it? In the flashbacks.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Hog has gotten to that yet.
But that was really nice.
Just carry on.
I liked how they did that, and I liked how he came back and he Zuko gave that sort of like emblem for the medal that his son had given him previously. I thought that was really nice, and I liked how with their relationship, whereas with Aang we saw everything lead to get the emotional hook and the connection. With Zuko, they've sort of dropped it in later on, so we slowly get to learn more about him. Which is what I've really enjoyed. I like sort of like you've got 2 sides of the coin. You've got your main goodie and your main baddie. Your main goodie, we're going to get the emotional connection, learn everything we need to learn about him. But then your baddie, we're going to do it the other way around, which is what I really liked.
That scene with Iroh and Zuko where he's giving him the medal, talking about his son. I nearly broke. I was that close.
I did. I totally did. I was crying.
The bit that got me more so was they were playing in the background. The music was Evanescence, My Immortal, nice musical. Oh my
What are
God.
you talking about? No, it was not that.
Yes, no, it was Evanescence. Listen to it. That
No,
was
it
My
was
Immortal
Leaves
by
from the
Evanescence.
Vine. It was Leaves from the Vine. You don't
That's
know
that.
that song?
It was,
That's
that was
Uncle
Evanescence.
Iroh's song. That is that is
Well,
Brave
I heard
Soldier
Evanescence.
Boy, come marching home. You don't know that song?
No, I don't know that song, but I heard
Oh,
Evanescence.
it's from the cartoon. It's in season 2. Uncle Iroh sings that song. Remember when he's going around like
yes, of course, yes.
that's the small soldier boy. No, the reason you were crying was because it's a beautiful little melody and it's got this sadness
It
to it.
sounds like Evanescence, My Immortal, and I'm like, that really.
No, that's not it for sure. It's definitely Leaves from the Vine.
I need to listen to that again.
But no, I watched that scene, just that one, like 3 times.
Yeah.
Well, that whole bit with him at the funeral, and then later on the boat when he says everything I need is right here.
I tell you what, if that is Leaves from the Vine,
It
wow.
is Leaves on the Vine, because as the first time they played it was they played it earlier. There was a moment where he was talking to somebody else about Zuko or about his loss, or about
yeah.
something, and they started playing the melody. He was like, oh no, they're putting that in there. I'm gonna cry.
I need to. Yeah, I'm gonna need to watch. I'm gonna need to watch that episode again.
I thought you was a real fan. You've only watched it 6 times. You've got to watch it 7 times.
Listen, once I heard what I thought was what I thought, I just kept hearing it.
No, you're
And
not.
Oh no! Now go watch the episode. It's the one where everybody has little vignette episodes. It's that one, and then it shows Uncle Iroh's story, and he's going around bossing Say. He's talking to some kids, and he helps a thief who actually tries to mug him, and he's like, "What are you doing? You're doing it wrong." And then he like gives him life advice. It's really cute.
The cartoon.
Yeah, the cartoon. So here, the music is a song that he plays on his little, not mandolin, it's a Chinese version of a mandolin kind of thing, and he plays a song. It's about soldiers coming home from war, like, wanting them back from war, and then you find out that his son has died, and like that and he sings that song to his son's memorial, and it hits hard. It hits real hard when you see that scene, because you're like, oh my gosh, Uncle Iroh, you have this horrible tragedy, and now it makes sense why he's so close with Zuko. So I'm not going to spoil anything for you, Roy. I mean, sorry, Hog. You're gonna have to go back.
What's all going on now?
I'm so sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry. But anyway,
don't worry, I'm only joking.
So I'm not spoiling anything by talking about how Iroh and Zuko's relationship is something very special in the cartoon, and I think that they've done it well here. You don't find out about the details of it until, well, you don't find out about the passed away son until season 2. So they're putting it here in season 1 to explain this is why Iroh is so close to Zuko. But the thing they did take from season 1 was Zuko's past. Why is Zuko in the situation he's in? And I liked what they added with the 41st Division.
Yes.
That was new. They did not have that in the
whatever his name
was.
That wasn't in there.
Well, what Zuko did at that meeting, that was in the cartoon, but what his father did at the end, saying, oh, if you care so much about the 41st Division, and then he does that thing, that was not. So that was a great addition, because then you're like, oh my gosh, the crew, like, it makes sense. So we're not spoiling. We're not going to spoil.
No,
but
that was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I was quite intrigued by Zuko's sister as well.
Oh, she's very interesting in the cartoon.
Azula is, yeah.
I
was like, all the way through, I was like, where's the lightning? Where's the lightning? Where's the lightning? Coming. And then it was right at the end.
Yeah.
How can she do that?
It is firebending. It's energy.
Yeah.
It's a form of firebending. And it's like the pinnacle of firebending. So she just achieved like super masterdom. She's like the Super Saiyan of firebenders. And you'll have noticed it just once in one shot. Her fire turned blue for a split second. That's her signature fire. She only bends blue fire after that. So, and that's also like, it's hotter. It burns hotter than white fire. So, or yellow fire, whatever. Anyway, Azula's character is super interesting. And they did not in the cartoon, they did not have any of this before she was deployed to go and join the hunt for the Avatar. They didn't have any of this stuff. So I thought it was good because it explains her psychology throughout the rest of the series, I think, very well.
That's really interesting because as soon as her intro scene, which I don't think Hog's seen yet,
no, he
but
wouldn't have yet.
her intro scene, I thought that was awesome. I thought that was really good and really intriguing. And then from that point, whenever it cut back to her character, I was always intrigued with what was going to happen. So I was thinking, hang on a minute, what's her angle here? What's she going to try and do?
Yeah.
And then it sort of just built and built and built. And yeah, I've really enjoyed her character.
The palace intrigue and the family, the psychology between the family members of the royal family and the Fire Nation is super fascinating. And it gets really complex further down the line. So they've set it up well.
And so all that setup there. And I think as well with the sort of the family side of it within the Fire Nation, and you don't know who's going to portray who or do what, or that kind of reminded me of Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
and I think maybe because you're saying that setup for her character wasn't in there until she was deployed, maybe that is something they've done from the adaptation of the cartoon into the live action to make it more serious and a bit more adult, maybe. I don't know.
Just explaining a little bit more about her and her mindset. That's all that is. It's because again, in the cartoon, she literally turns up on Zhao's ship. It's just there's Azula. That's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing prior. Yeah, there's no introduction as such. It's just there she is. She's off and running.
The first time you even hear that a sister exists is in the finale when they didn't have it in the live action, but in the finale of the cartoon, Zuko recaptures Aang and has him for like half an episode, and Aang's unconscious, or he's in the spirit world, so he's not awake. And Zuko starts talking about his own life, like in front of Aang's unconscious body, and he's talking about how he has a sister. And he's like, everybody always said, I love the line, I'm sad it was out of there. Everyone says that my sister was born lucky and that I was lucky to be born. And you know, so they basically took that and then they gave an explanation for this, why he thinks that and why the sister is the way that she is, by putting, why would people get this way? And they said, okay, what if we had the dad totally manipulating the kids in order to make them awesome? And like that's his way of being a father, is I'm going to be the dad that will force you to become incredible. And
I really like that. I really like the setup of just those two characters. And I'm hoping, do they get to meet in the show?
Zuko and Azula?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. A lot.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
A lot. It's very complicated.
Yeah, because like the way it's sort of set up, it's almost setting up they are going on a collision course. So it's something that was intrigue for more, and that's one of the aspects that has intrigued me for what's next. So yeah, I'm very intrigued by the whole Fire Nation was fascinating for me anyway. I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the like I say, the Zuko, the uncle, and Azula. Those three characters were quite intriguing. And I've just got to say again, Aang as an actor, the actor that plays him, I thought he blew it out of the park.
Gordon Cormier, great actor. Yeah,
I think he's going. I think all the kids are going places. There's people complaining about what's her name, Gawentio. I finally figured out how to say her name. The actress who played Katara. And they're like, she didn't do like all the stuff she does in the cartoon where she like has outbursts of anger and stuff very early on. I was like, I like what they did. She's very soft.
I thought, it's good character.
It's like she's bottled up. She's like holding it in, and you can see that she's about to blossom, and then she finally does.
So I'm out.
Okay.
That's enough gushing, right? So what you're all saying is this was so perfect. This was so glorious. This was so
perfect
that I loved it so much. So, especially from the two, you and you, if that makes sense. I'm
literally
the two hardcore, right? So I think we're all agreeing this is, so me and Liz. I know I've only watched the first 3.5 episodes. I'm not saying I hate it. I'm just saying it is lulling a bit, and I'll motor through. And you're saying, hog, motor through, and it's worth it. Right, I will. But for the two hardcore, has it delivered? Like, so has this delivered? You're kind of gushing. There's nothing bad. You're not saying like, oh, I know you've mentioned that there's a bit of boomy that they didn't do that.
There's little bits, there's little niggly bits, because again, our brains are flooded with 20 episodes from season 1 of a cartoon. So it's like
they nailed it. They nailed the adaptation for series 1 of this show, of this character, this story.
I would say mostly, yes.
Yeah, I would say that they did, as far as if we're just talking about faithfulness here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were true to the heart and soul of this story. Tone-wise, they've made it darker, but they have not lost the playfulness.
No.
Which was a big concern of everybody. So I can see the major effort to like, let's be as faithful as possible, but they also had the struggle of it has to work as a show that's going to have a more adult audience now.
Yeah.
Not just adults, but more adults. Like I just feel like I'm seeing a battle between like, who do we make this scene for, the grown-ups or the kids? Right. And I feel like it was you can see that there were bits that were a struggle, which it should feel like it flows naturally, but dang, I mean, I feel like it was like mostly a success, as in like faithfulness. It was as faithful, I think, as you possibly could have been in this scenario. And I consider it faithful. Like I saw changes being made to enhance what was already there, not to change anything. Yeah. There were no big major flips. Boomy, the exception, really.
I mean, the only other comment I've got on character, if you want to say about a character, was Princess Yue. It was nothing about her. She was different. They tried to copy exactly what they did in the cartoon with her outfit, with the way she looks.
As soon as she came on screen, I said, "Oh no, that wig is not working."
It looked like a powder wig. It looked like something from back in the 1800s. The big, it didn't quite hit home, but they tried to copy it exactly as it is in the cartoon, and it just wasn't quite right. Didn't look quite right. And I think Amber Midthunder is a really good actress. I don't dislike her, but just that look in general for me was a little bit
there's occasionally like, here's the thing. So I texted my friend and asked what was the budget per episode on this, and he said northward of 15 million per episode. That's the same budget for Game of Thrones, but this had like at least 4 times as many special effects, and it was the first season.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm going to see imperfections and things, but as long as everything else is good, I'm going to kind of oversee that. I had little problems with, script and pacing, and sometimes a special effect wouldn't look great. Sometimes the costume, like what we're talking about with Princess Yue, it wasn't even her costume, it was just her wig, really, that wouldn't look great. There were little things like that. But overall, I thought it was great. I thought this is a show that would have been, it should have been, this was made for the same cost of like a 2-hour movie, but they did an 8-hour show. Like, think about the Marvel movies, the cost of these giant Marvel movies that's how many special effects there are, but they did it over 8 hours. So like, I'm not going to nitpick those kinds of things. Most of it looked fantastic, I thought. So
I'm not being down on the show at all. Yeah. Just saying there's those little bits. Like I say, silly little bits, like the pacing issue, like you said, it's like it's slow, quick, and then back to slow again, and then the eyebrow.
So out of 10, then let's go around.
If I had to give it out of 10,
I can't rate. I never really do ratings like this on something
if I had to put a rating on it, it would be like 9.9, 9.95. It would be right up there. Like I say, those are very nitpicky. It is good. It is good.
For me, I'd say probably 7.5, 8-ish out of 10. I enjoyed it. It was good. I've got no real major concerns with it. It did have a bit of a lull in episode 3 and 4. I think for me, it's the overall thing that probably knocked it down a little bit was I need something, and this is purely for me, something to hook me ready for the next episode. And the later half of the season did that. Whereas the first half of the season, you had episode 1 and 2, and then it was, okay, little adventures all sort of on their own little journey for a couple of episodes. But it didn't give me the I have to watch the next one now. I have to find out what happens now. Whereas the later episodes did do that. So I think for me, if they had sort of kept that sort of rhythm going, which they sort of caught at the end of the season all the way through, I think that would have bumped the score up for me. And I would have been like really desperate to see the next episode. But like I say, the last couple did that for me.
For me, I'm not gonna really rate because I have
Don't
so
rate
many
it,
different
no.
angles to rate it by. I could
Don't
be
rate
like,
it.
okay, performances of the actors I thought were really good. There was a few side actors who I didn't think were so great, but then I'm like, they also had a tough script because I didn't think the script was so great in those moments. So I'm like, I don't know. But the main cast was great. I thought they were great. I thought some of the emotional punch spots were really punchy, like they really worked. There were a few awkward moments, so it's like it's so hard for me to rate. Faithfulness, it was faithful to the spirit and the heart, but it had to make a lot of changes. It didn't change the characters for the most part, which is, I think, the hardest thing to do. So I thought that was good. I enjoyed it so much. Watching it second time around was even easier than watching it the first time. Like the mistakes were less obvious to me because I was just enjoying it more and more. And I have a feeling that's what this is going to be. This is going to be a show that you watch it the first time and you're going to notice the things that bug you, but then you're going to start like watching it again and again. It'll bother you less because you know where the good stuff is that's coming up. Like I love the ending. I mean, I don't know about you, Liz, but like that's something that we've been wanting to see forever. I'm just going to say Koizilla has been something that we have wanted to see for so long. And I was so impressed with it.
Yeah.
Taters know I got a sneak peek of it a little early and I called him up. I was like, I've seen Koizilla and it looks amazing.
Yeah, no, the finale was spot on for me. I really enjoyed that finale. Even the pacing of I can't remember what his name is, on the one that's overthrew Zuko on the ship and became in charge when he's going after the
Zhao.
spirit.
Zhao,
Yeah,
Admiral
Zhao.
Zhao.
Yeah, so when he's going, I thought what was really nice about the ending was not only was the final episode, not only was it action packed, not only did it have some emotional value to it as well, it was well paced. It wasn't just action for action's sake. It had a story and a narrative going through that action. And that's when the action really does hit home, is when it's got the emotional impact with it as well. Like when Katara, is that how you say it right?
You got her.
When she stands and faces off against Zuko, and then you've got the moon, like the spirit thing going on over here, and you've got the Uncle Iroh turning, and everything's going on. Everything had a nice emotional payoff from what we've seen previously, and I just felt like it built up to a really nice crescendo. And yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed that last episode.
It was good.
Did that episode deviate much? So we said about how stuff's changed.
Not at all.
From
That
the
was like-
cartoons. Was that sort of the one thing that they didn't move things around or change? Or was that sort of what they just? Yeah, it's fine as it is. Bosh, here we go.
They changed a superficial antagonist, Han, to a good guy, but it made something that they did in the show have more emotional punch. So I thought that was a good move. Then also Zhao's final moments were the cause of a different source. I don't know how to explain that without giving anything away to Hog here.
No,
but
go on,
basically,
just do it. Just do it. Honestly,
he's not killed by Iroh. He's killed by Koizilla. And in the cartoon, it's like, okay, that is the revenge, right? But if you think about it, so this wasn't really stressed in the live action as much as it was in the cartoon. The spirits need stasis. They need balance. And so revenge doesn't really matter that much to them. They will just unleash rage if things have been thrown out of balance, which is why when Aang has the acorn and returns the acorn, it calms Heibai. Heibai lets all the people go. That's not what happened in the live action, but that's what happens in the show or in the animation. Aang is like, look, your forest is going to come back. Everything's going to be okay. You don't have to start stealing. You don't have to continue capturing people and destroying villages and things, which is what's happening. And then Heibai's like, oh, okay. And then like stasis again. Everything's cool. They didn't do that here in the live action. And in the cartoon, Koizilla at the finale takes Zhao and drags him down to the underworld. And they don't really show it in the cartoon. They just show these big watery hands grabbing him and pulling him down into the ocean, and it's great. But that's actually a breaking of their own lore, in my opinion. The Koizilla shouldn't have cared about killing Zhao once he saw that the moon was back. The moon is back. Stasis is good. I don't have to be causing destruction. I'm just going back to the spirit pond with the other koi fish. So that's how that should have played out, and it didn't in the cartoon. So what they did here, having Uncle Iroh come and kill Zhao, I was like, that is Uncle Iroh keeping his word, saying, if you do anything to harm that spirit, I will unleash. I forget what his speech is, but it's great. He's like, I will
Yeah, it's
unleash whatever you
quality.
do to that spirit tenfold. And then he does. So I liked that. So Uncle Iroh, and then also doing it to save Zuko. I loved it. So I thought it was
Yeah.
good. I thought that was another one of those moments where I'm like, you actually improved something.
Yeah.
Yes, the live action had flaws and it did things that weren't perfect in a live action, but it legitimately took certain things from the show, the animation that weren't quite right, and it fixed them. And that's so rare to see. And yeah, so I'm super impressed with what they did. I think a second season, hopefully it gets more money, hopefully it gets more episodes or more time per episode, a little more looseness, and they're able to make some big improvements, because I think the second season they've got even better material to work with from the cartoon. The second season is like such a step above the first season in the cartoon, and the third season is like, oh my gosh, just blow everybody out of the water. Like, it's so good. So they really you've got the material to have a show that gets better and better and better with each season. And so if this is what they're starting with, they're going to do very well, I think. Sorry, I'm talking.
That's all right. Talk.
Love it. No, I love
Oh.
it. I love it.
I talk a lot.
No, because all I'm thinking is that part of me initially was thinking, oh, it's only a cartoon, like, and bear with me. So at the beginning, I was thinking, oh, it's only a cartoon. So why does anyone care about a faithful adaptation or that? But like I said a while ago, I can only compare it to a comic book adaptation for me, because you care. If you grew up reading that comic, you grew up or you watched that cartoon at that specific time. But if these guys and girls have made a faithful adaptation with the spirit of it, the essence of it, and that is such a tricky to bottle that, whether it's a book, comic, cartoon, to bottle it. But what all I'm interested in is finding out from particularly used to is that they have done it.
Yeah,
they've captured like the
no, like Amber says, they made it better. The little bits that you needed a bit more backstory to, the little bits that you needed. Well, why is that person that way? You got it. They filled in the gaps. They
in a cartoon they're not bothered, but in live action it's a little bit more adult.
Yeah. Okay. Like, for example, let's take this. So Aang leaves the air temple. We've all seen this episode 1. Aang leaves the air temple on a joyride. In the cartoon, that's not what happens. Right. In the cartoon, he leaves the air temple to run away from home. And that's when he gets caught in the storm. So it never bothered me before in the cartoon, but I think in the live action, it would have. And my friend pointed out to me, he's like, what is the point of Aang running away from home because he doesn't want to be taken away from home? Like, that was his thing. He didn't want to be taken away from home. So what does he do? He runs away from home. And I was like, that is kind of a big loophole that's never fazed me before, but that would have been a pretty big problem, I think, in the live action. He heard that they're like, we're going to send you away now to go train at other temples. We're going to take you away from your friends and your family and Monk Gyatso. You're going to be off alone. And he's like, oh no, I don't want to do that. I better run away from home and be off away from all my friends and my family and Monk Gyatso. Like, that was a big loophole that I didn't see coming. And so people are like, oh, now he's not going to be guilty about leaving home. And I'm like, no, I could still see him feeling like I wasn't there when I should have been. And it still works. But yeah, he doesn't feel like I chose to leave home and abandoned them. Like, I really abandoned them. He was just off on a joyride. But you can still see how a kid would, in his head, go, I wasn't there when I should have been. And it was still his choice to be away from home at that particular moment. So I was like, okay, this works. Yes, it's not as big. Like, it doesn't have that like I just said, the big guilt trip that would come with running away from home and then all your family gets killed. But it makes more sense that you would run away from home, or that you would just go for a joyride. Like, I'm just going to fly away and think for a bit and then come back. That makes more sense than running away from home because you don't want to be taken away from home. So I was like, okay.
It's
But that's
that
the
thing,
kind of changes we're seeing.
he's running away, but he's not allowed to cross the road. So yeah.
And we all did that.
Yeah,
We all
yeah.
did that, didn't we?
Yeah.
I'm just
Well, I'm going now.
yeah.
Mum and
that's
Dad,
one of
Mum and
those-
Dad went, yeah, bye.
It's just an example of the kind of changes that Taters and I see, especially that we're seeing changes being made, but they all are doing something that is improving in some way. They're doing something that's like, this will work better for the live action, because people will, I mean, I'm sure people would have been like, why would he run away from home if he was afraid of being taken away from home?
Yeah.
I'm sure that would have been a problem for new viewers.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and it has to be consideration, doesn't it? It has to be when you
Yeah.
take a cartoon. Like,
Never bothered me in the cartoon. I never even crossed my mind.
No.
In terms of cartoon, One Piece was cartoon as well, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Still is.
Yeah.
In terms of One Piece adaptation into live action and this, I mean, that's the only thing. I mean, me and Hog had a little discussion earlier where we were saying
I'm
that's the only
curious.
thing. That's the only thing we can sort of where we've never seen the One Piece cartoon, but we've seen the live action. We've never seen Avatar cartoon, but we've seen the live action. How do we compare it? Because it's something that's been adapted that we haven't seen, or the original source material of, both done by Netflix. I think they're on par with each other personally. I was wondering what you guys thought.
Really? What about you, Hog? You think it's on par?
no, well, to be fair, I haven't watched it all the way through, and I'm in the lull.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I think the consensus is that the lull is episodes 3 and 4, and
Yeah.
that's where I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the moment, One Piece resonated with. I wanted to just keep watching One
Yeah.
Piece.
Gotcha.
At the moment, I'm in that.
Dragging.
No, that's
I'm in the
fair.
mud
We can
bit.
talk again when you've seen it all.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that I'm not enjoying it. I can't say that.
You're just picking up on the silly little bits that you
But
see. You
the
can't
big-
help but see.
I don't know, the binge bit, but there must be elements of One Piece that appeal to me, the insane quality. I do maintain that when the showrunners or whoever they may be up above making this stuff, when they just embrace whatever they're doing, whether it be One Piece, Avatar, Marvel stuff, Star Wars stuff, just don't be embarrassed about what you're doing. Don't feel like you have to explain too much. And I know we've been talking about explaining this, explaining that for a more mature audience, because it's not a cartoon now, it's live action, right? That's not what I mean. It's being embarrassed about, oh, this isn't this silly? Like, isn't this silly? Like flying around on the air, and isn't this silly that he's got a 6-legged like sky bison, and etc. etc. Just embrace it, and that's what I love. And One Piece just embraced it right from the beginning, and did not relent. It didn't. It was insane. It was. What would be the word? Insane is probably too far up, but
Eccentric.
with
There you
that,
go.
Taters, thank you.
Nice one.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that is. It was so in its eccentricity. See, I had to do one better. Sorry. I had to add a few letters on the end. But I don't know if this could be a criticism and come back at me. Is Avatar at the moment? It's not letting itself go. Is it being a bit too conservative with a small c? Is it being...
That is a complaint from people saying that it's not goofy enough, because the cartoon is quite goofy. But Aang also only mourns the loss of his people for about 10 seconds. I'm not joking. It's about 10 seconds. And then
Oh, it
we
loses.
don't really, yeah.
You lose
So
their gain in
that
the,
would not translate
no.
well.
It wouldn't work in live action.
Yeah. So there had to be changes made. I'm really hoping. So they had Aang and Katara and Sokka acting like siblings, like from episode 4 on in the cartoon. And here they were creating that. I think they could have spent more time working on the three of them dealing with each other, but I have a feeling that you get to the end of season 1 and that's the beginning of now they are like siblings. They are team avatar is the
Team Avatar,
what we
yeah.
call them. And then they're going to have the introduction of a new character who's going to be part of Team Avatar, who's an amazing character, and we're all going to love her when she joins. And then the problem will be the three of them are like, well, now we have to deal with this third person, which was an issue in the show.
That there's going to be when that person does come on, there will be that little bit of fun that you want, that eccentricity, as you called it, from that one character specifically. I think
I
she's
really
great.
think, as weird as it is, even though the show legitimately gets more and more intense in each season, like it's weird because my mom was watching the first season finale and she's like, this feels like the finale of an entire show. And I was like, I know. And oddly, the finale of season 2 is less epic and grand in scale, but it has far more dire consequences. Like what happens is like, oh snap, like what are we going to do now? So it feels like the end of this. It almost feels like Doom at the end of season 2. And then in season 3 is the big, huge epic battle, the final war. It's fantastic.
So what you're saying is that's the Empire Strikes Back.
It is. Yes, it is.
I was just thinking that.
Jedi. Yeah.
You do get that at the end of season 2.
Do you get Ewoks in season 3?
Why are you doing
that?
Well, there's a bear. There is a bear, but it's not an Ewok.
It's not an Ewok. It's just a bear, normal bear.
So
not a platypus bear, not a skunk bear.
One other criticism I've seen further afield is dialogue.
Yeah.
I've got to admit, I haven't been. There's a couple of moments, but like what series is perfect, especially in this genre. Like what is perfect? Like One Piece, I'm saying, oh, that was really great, and I'm going to measure up. But that wasn't perfect. But there were some bits there. So why is everyone honing in? Do you think it's only because that's the only thing they can moan about? You know, the naysayers, when you always forget, because you two are really in unison saying no.
See, I've not watched any reviews.
But see, a lot of the big
reviews or anything.
A lot of the big fans,
people's opinions.
I have been watching some of the reviews just because I'm curious, like, what do other people who love the show think?
And I've been curious.
And there is a very loud group of people who love the animated series and think that everything about this adaptation is trash. And usually they sign off their critique with, there was no point in even doing an adaptation of this. And I go, well, your whole argument just flew out the window. Like, they're like, they should just watch the cartoon. And I'm like, what do you mean there's no point in doing an adaptation? It's not that there's no point. It's that, why not? Like, there's no reason not to do one.
Oh, to take it and reach a wider audience. Like,
yeah.
That's why I said earlier on, like, I was trying to find the hook to why you and Tayters, Amber, were loving it and wanting it to be good. And I'm thinking,
Iroh and Zuko.
Yeah, well, who cares about a cartoon? But that's wrong, because why should I care about a comic book adaptation? Because we do care. Whatever it is, that initial IP that we loved, adapt it, whether it's a book. And again, I know I'm repeating myself, but so if you don't care, then there would be no adaptations of anything, would there? And then we'll just go back to, I don't know, let's just read some Charles Dickens, and like we don't care anymore about a film that's made of anything. So
must admit, the dialogue I said it earlier, the dialogue for the first 10-20 minutes, it did seem like
telling.
It felt like it was cartoon dialogue taken straight from the cartoon instead of being adapted for live action. But whether it got better or whether I just got used to it, it didn't bother me at all for the rest of the show. It just didn't bother me.
I think it's a combination. I think that there was a lot of telling in the very beginning, but that was the whole, like, we can't have an audience who's never seen this world before be confused about what's happening. Like, apparently there were a lot of people who didn't even know, why is Aang as an avatar different from everybody else? And I was like, did we not say it enough times? He can bend all the elements. Everybody else can only bend one, and not even everybody can bend. Like, there's lots of specifics. Like, he's the only one whose spirit is reincarnated. He's the only one who can bend several elements. He has to learn them in a specific order. He is born in a specific order: water, earth, fire, air. Water, earth, fire, air. He will always be born into a different nation like that, in that order. Then the avatar state is a thing. He can channel the past avatars. Like, there's a lot of information, and like, we got to make sure that our audiences understand this. Otherwise, we have to pause and go, well, here's how it works. You're born like that. It might have felt weirder if they paused after a lot of story and then said, and here's how it goes. And the thing is, in the cartoon, we had the same speech. You know what Granny says to the water, earth, fire, air? Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. Then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Only the Avatar could master all four elements. Only he could stop the Fire Nation. Like, we would get that speech at the beginning of every single episode. So every 20 minutes, we were getting that speech. So we got that repetition. It just didn't feel out of place because it was the beginning of every single episode.
Because that would be the easy way out, wouldn't it? To do that right at the
it would be.
To have some like to have some venerable actor whose voice or actress just explain what you just said, Amber, in 4 minutes, right at the beginning of episode 1, and go, right, this is the world we are. You know, blah, 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 blah. But they didn't. And I thought episode 1, you know, just as a newbie, I don't know. I thought it did. It brought me in. It gave me enough. It didn't give you everything, which was also good. You know, I didn't quite understand 100%. But do you have to? You know, you've got 8 episodes of a series. Do you have to? Do I want to know everything? Do I need an explanation for every single movement of every single character here in this world? Not for me, anyway.
So,
but it did enough. Episode 1, particularly, I think, and I've seen a lot of criticism about it, but and I know Liz, I think, agrees. I think episode 1 hooked you in. A new audience.
Definitely.
Brand new audience, you're in. That's enough. That scene, fireballs raining down, burning people to ash. Bring it on. But
my only fear.
You want. Like, come on, bring it on. Let's have the bad, like I said, have the bad guy with the moustache going, I'm going to burn you now. Ha ha, tricked you. Bosh, done.
My only fear of the wide audience that haven't that haven't seen the show, brand new, like you and me, Hog. My only fear is how good episode 1 was, and then sort of the drop down. Episode 2, that lull early on. How many people would just stop there? That's my fear, because it does get better and it does get good. It does return to the highs of episode 1 and 2, but that episode 3 and 4 lull, which you're currently in,
because I think
it. I'm just wondering.
Is really jarring.
This is where I think the benefit of dropping all 8 episodes at once comes in, because you get so many people saying, "Oh, it ends really well." Like, it's got a couple slow episodes, but it ends, because everybody online was like, not everybody, but a lot of people online were going, "Why are you dropping? You know, you should put out 1 episode at a time." Well, this is why you don't do 1 episode at a time. Exactly your experience.
You won't be past episode 3 or 4.
And as well, actually, if you're doing 1 episode at a time, you need that cliffhanger. And I always use the same TV show that was in the UK. I don't know if you ever had it in America. It's a show called Line of Duty in the UK. That is the epitome of leaving you on a cliffhanger at the end of every episode. Everyone's talking about it all week, ready for the next episode. If you're releasing a weekly schedule, that is what you need to be doing at the end of each episode. So yes, I agree. Dropping it all at once is the best shout. I was just concerned with the episode 3 and 4 there's potential for a drop off with the lull in those 2 episodes.
I wouldn't have said Line of Duty. I would have said the A-Team. And they didn't even do cliffhangers, did they? It ended every week, didn't it? Ended every week. Explosions and gunfire and bottle
and nobody died.
Something that you said earlier, Hog, was about trusting the audience or something like that. I forget what you said. Like,
the intelligence,
not revealing everything. Yes,
yeah.
I agree. I think that they could trust the audience a little bit more. But I'm remembering a conversation I had with my friend, who I don't know if on the hogCAST I've said it yet, but I'm friends with a top Netflix executive who was basically in charge of Avatar.
Say that. Have I got to edit this?
No, it's okay to say that now. It's okay. But something that they were explaining to me was that it's a conversation they're always having with executives who aren't into these kinds of stories. Like going, well, wait a minute. Like, I don't understand what's happening. Or, I don't know if, I don't understand what about this character or whatever. And the comeback is always this. That's the question you're supposed to be asking. You should be, as the audience member who doesn't know this story, asking yourself, what's up with this character? So you're actually having the right reaction. You shouldn't know everything in advance. And I think there is a struggle internally to like get that to the people who approve of all of these episodes and, this is what you're going to do. There's a bit of a struggle to communicate that method of storytelling to these people, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's almost like a chicken and egg thing. Like, so what came first? Is it a lack of understanding from the audience? Like when we all used to go to the cinema, there is a language to cinema that at a point about 10 years ago, we'd all understand if we went to the cinema. There's a language, there are looks, and there's the soundtrack and everything, all the elements that would make a great film. If you was a cinema goer, you would understand. But for that wider audience, when we're talking about streaming now, we're talking about the billions that we're not a cinema going audience now. We're sitting there on the settee with and I'm not demeaning those people, but it's like, are you not entertained? Well, no, if you don't explain it all, then I am not entertained. Like, why did he just do that? Well, the great directors, I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but the great directors of cinema would have given you a nod and a wink to let the audience know that character was going to go over there and he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
He would do something and he would go over there, he would swan off over there and he would be the bad guy. Now, to use an earlier analogy, you need the bad guy to go, whoa, and it's like,
no, I think you're right.
It's a shame, but someone like Denis Villeneuve, when he's doing Dune, he's been very lucky because the Harkonnen are bad boys.
Yeah.
They look bad and that.
There's no mistaking that that's a villain as soon as you see him.
Yeah.
But the nuances of it all, it must be difficult. The higher ups saying we need to let the audience know, when they're looking at scripts or the dailies or whatever it is, it must be a difficult decision, especially when it is, and I don't know how, Amber, you might know more than me, but how they categorize this stuff into family entertainment or maybe the certification of films. So you've got the available to all, teen, adult. Like, where does certain...
I don't know what the divisions are. I know what you're saying. I don't know what the specific divisions are, but I do know that there is one. It's called 4-quad programming, and that is programs that will appeal to the 4 main groups: men, women, adults, children. Yeah. And that's in a show or a movie that will appeal to all of them.
And that's
one group.
Sweet spot for the boys, for the boys and girls up on the top floor. That must be the sweet spot. going to pick those
The
four.
widest potential audience of all. Yeah.
And recently, I've watched a series called Slow Horses, right? And it is so awesome in its approach, which is either keep up or fuck off.
Get out.
And it's like the main character.
You've mentioned Slow Horses before.
Yeah, which is Gary Oldman. That
Right.
is his attitude. It's keep up or fuck off. And it's about the MI5 and it's about the losers in the MI5 that get sent.
What's that playing on? Just out of curiosity.
I think it was a book.
Don't worry about it.
It's Apple or Paramount, I think.
Right.
It's Apple TV, and I think it's based on a book.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's a book. It's a book series. So Amber, come on.
Get on that.
You're a go-to.
I know. I'm watching a baby 12 hours a day lately. So like as soon as that slows down, I'll be able to do this. I'll be able to do this stuff.
Slow down. Evangeline is going to keep speeding up.
I know, my gosh. She's like wheeling around the house like you wouldn't believe. So like little demon just like suddenly pops into your room. You're like, I didn't know you were this mobile. I thought you'd still be another 3 minutes out the hall. But
slow
horses. She'll go to daycare. Slow horses.
I'll say duct tape's better than daycare.
But anyway, I know we kind of jumped from Airbender to slow horses.
No, but it's a discussion about this because Airbender's it's definitely can appeal to everybody, right? And you can see that they've made the effort to like really make sure that adults aren't going to be like, this is kids stuff.
And I think
if you want to go to the other extreme about things that completely ignore everything that's come from the beginning, did anybody watch Madame Web?
No. Don't want to.
I have an interesting story about Madame Web.
Go on.
I think I mentioned it in our chat, but I didn't know Madame Web was written by apparently somebody who's a talented scriptwriter, but in the big studios for the legacy studios, like Paramount and Disney and all these things, the writer writes the script. I think I got this right. I might be remembering this conversation wrong, but I think I got this conversation right. The writer writes the script and then basically loses control of it completely. And a bunch of other people get their hands on it and they change things. We're throwing this out. We're putting this thing in. We're doing this. And then it goes to be filmed. And that's why you get things like Madame Web. But
Madame Web was a character with like no real beginning. She just like appeared. She turned up in the comics with another character called the Beyonder. And it was just, there she is. There's
I'm just talking about the film itself, because I know the film itself has gotten ripped to shreds, from what I hear. But it was
people that saw it.
It was interesting to me to hear this because I'm always like, why the hell do some of these movies happen? Like movies, why do they happen when the writing is so obviously crap? I mean, any writer can watch it and go like, why did they do this? It's terrible. Like this scene is bad. This dialogue is bad. There's no build up. There's no payoff, like writing 101 problems. And my understanding is that the writers in certain situations lose control of the script, as in they don't have any say in what happens after they've written a draft. Like they've written it, and then people who are not writers, do not understand storytelling, get their hands on it and do stuff. I don't know why a director doesn't step in, because a director should know at that point and like, hey, you can't do this. But I'm sure it's a battle. Like I'm sure there's a ton of people talking, and that's a problem.
I wonder if that's limited to the big studios, because obviously this hasn't happened with Avatar. So the script wasn't written and then it was taken away and loads of people got their hands on it. So was that battle that they won for that?
I think Netflix operates differently from some of the big studios.
It just operates totally differently. Yeah. And you can tell. And do you know what? Watching that and watching how like you two are so excited by it, with also like obviously the history of the cartoon, kind of makes me jealous. I want something that I love to be written well and adapted well. Do you know what I mean? I want the next Marvel film to be good, the next DC film to be good and adapted faithfully. And it's not happening. All the good adaptations are things I don't know nothing about.
Well, let's hope that the next biggest studio along, which is dismal, takes note for like finally. you know, you've got an IP, you've got a character, you've got a film, you've got a book, whatever it is. Just do what they did over there. Look what they're doing. Look what Netflix are doing over there. And they've had, don't get me wrong, they've had their dogs, but that deserve putting down. But currently, they are having more hits than misses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time. They're definitely leading the way.
And used to are saying that the Avatar is a definite hit. It's a faithful adaptation that is satisfying for the fans, because you're both fans.
Not all. Obviously, there's going to be the ones who want the 1-to-1, and they're not happy. They're not happy because they wanted 1-to-1.
But do you think that they're just picking? They're nitpicking, like, because you know, Amber, you said earlier on, like, if I want to be nitpicky, and I think Tayters did as well. If I want to be, but we all can't we, with the stuff we love?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be an overall, and it's in that word, adaptation.
Yeah,
you can't adapt it unless you are Zack Snyder and you're going to take Watchmen and take the graphic novel and
literally put it on screen.
Literally adapt it panel by panel, which I thought.
Then you're still going to get people complaining about that.
Love him.
Even if it was perfect, you're still going to get people complaining.
And I loved it, but I wanted to see an adaptation. I'd rather see an hour and a half adaptation rather than the 3-hour literal
1-to-1. Yeah.
Book, like, because if you're going to do a literal adaptation of any IP, why bother with the adaptation if you already like the original?
Yeah, and as well, actually, from someone that, so like, for example, and I know I've always used this example, Walking Dead. Walking Dead was graphic novels, and they purposely went out and changed things so that way fans of the comics and people that have read the comics wouldn't just, it kept them on their toes, and they'd get something new. So if they'd done a literal adaptation of Avatar, the cartoon, episode for episode, but it's just in live action, you've already seen it all. You're not going to get anything new. So actually, by doing it the way they've done it, you would have got something new out of it, like you said about Azula's history and the rearrangements to try and make it work better. You're getting something new out of it. If it was exactly the same, it's not that exciting for you because you've already seen it. So they kind of have to give you something new to make it exciting for the pre-existing audience. Otherwise, then there is no point.
I'm really curious to see, because I know Avatar and went into it knowing Avatar. I did not know One Piece going into One Piece. And so I enjoyed One Piece, saw it as like, this is perfect. I saw the One Piece adaptation. And I was like, there was like, really, I can't complain about anything. And then I go and I watch the cartoon and I'm going, holy cow, they had to move around a lot and cut a lot. And like they did a lot, but it still felt perfect just as it was. So to hear that both of you guys, it's funny, came away, I think, with fewer complaints than Tayters and I did. and our complaints aren't even necessarily about the changes that were made to the story.
No.
Which is so weird. Like what a weird thing to observe. Like Hog and Liz, you guys have much fewer complaints about non-lore stuff than Tayters and I do. and that's just like, how does that happen? Any thoughts on that? Like
I've got the main thought of how that happens is because you guys love the source material so much.
Yeah.
And that's why I always burst a blood vessel when Disney ruin the Marvel when they do a She-Hulk, when they do a Hawkeye, when they do a Loki. When they do that, you can't now. Well, I don't know if that helps you to understand why but like
it's about the non-adaptation stuff. It's about the like he and I noticed repetition and the pacing was off, and you guys are like, I thought the first episode was great. And like he and I are going like, well, you didn't quite catch all that like repeating stuff. Like,
take a villain from Avatar and turn him into an idiot. and then you've got Disney Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful. That's terrible.
And that's why you hate everything they do.
Yeah.
That's why. That's why I'm so intrigued and also happy. I'm intrigued about what you and Tayters we're going to find awesome, but you can't find a lot wrong with it because it's. We go back to that word, adaptation. Adapt it, but just stay true. There's a heart to it. There's definitely a good heart to
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what you were saying, Amber, was I think as well for me and Hog, we had to learn. That's why we didn't necessarily notice the repetition. You two already knew the world, you already know the lore,
Yeah.
so you can sit back and relax and watch that first episode, and your mind's not necessarily thinking, right, what's
We've
going
already
on here?
heard this.
I need to learn this, I need to learn that. So
Okay.
so potentially that's why you felt it was repetition, whereas me and Hog, we're brand new to it, and we're just focusing on what the hell's going on right now.
Yeah.
Trying to
No,
learn
it
the
makes
lore.
sense to
And
me.
I think maybe that is part of it as well.
The only thing I liken that to with the repetition is myself and Amber, we're watching it, we're hearing this same thing over and over again. Go back to Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. How many times did they say with great power comes great responsibility?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh.
That's a good point. So, Hog,
Twice.
something you said. Go ahead.
No, twice. They said with great power comes. They only said it.
That's
twice.
it.
Yeah.
It felt like more.
It felt like more than that.
Twice.
It's just iconic.
Twice.
Well, so Hog, something that you said that my friend said, and I was so happy to hear this, was that the attitude of the people who worked on Avatar was this. And it's exactly what we've always hoped to hear. This show, the animation, is already considered so well done. Why do we think we can make something better than that by changing a lot of things? Like, oh, we'll have to undo this thing or whatever. Nobody should be thinking that when they take something that's already a success in its own like target market area. So to know that there's somebody with that attitude in there, and it's apparently, this is not a common attitude. So this is why we're seeing stuff coming out of certain areas of Netflix that look really good. Like, oh my gosh, this is a perfect adaptation. Oh my gosh, this is actually faithful. Is because that's not a common attitude right now in anywhere, even in some corners of Netflix. So it's got to be something that I hope people are watching and noticing, hey, how come they've put out these hits?
Yeah.
Why are they hits? What,
Yeah.
and they go and they dive into that a little bit.
I do think it's a dying breed now where they go, oh, well, don't bother about that. Like, why would the company you're working for buy the book or the old film or the animated series or the graphic novel? Why would they buy that IP and then tell you to adapt it
But change everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first thing you do is get the book and you go, right, we don't need that.
Rings of power.
Rings of power.
Yeah.
No.
Not that there was a lot to adapt there, but they could have sure done a lot different. So
And hopefully, I think the change is afoot.
And hopefully people are taking note, because Netflix have put out some good hits recently as well, and and they seem to have that attitude with that.
Yeah.
People have got to start paying attention, surely.
Well,
at some point, the money will talk.
It's getting to that stage now, aren't we? We're getting there.
Is there? So there's 3 seasons of the cartoon. I'm guessing 3 seasons of this, or is there so much in the cartoon it needs to be more than 3 seasons?
They could definitely take season 2 and split it into 2 seasons. I genuinely think there's enough material in season 2 because there's way fewer filler episodes. And I think there's more episodes. Season 2 has the most episodes, if I might be remembering. You got to correct me. I don't know. Either way,
24.
No matter what, season 2 has the fewest filler episodes. So you could definitely expand that into 2 seasons, I think.
24 episodes in series 2.
I think so.
Wow.
Did you look it up?
No, I'm looking at it now.
Okay.
So, because I'm just wondering, obviously, if it's such a hit, and if it does become such a hit, are they going to want to drag it out and obviously get some more seasons out of it, And would it suit the story? Is there a suitable point halfway through the cartoon season 2 where you could cut it in half and go, that would be a satisfying ending for the next season?
The drill, I think, Taters, when they take down the drill, I think would be a good end point for season 1 or for season 2. Like,
Yes.
so there's a point where they come across, it's not going to be a huge thing, but there's basically the Fire Nation is drilling into a wall with a massive ass drill, and it takes a whole episode to take it down. Like, that'd be a pretty good season finale, I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
that's
then
cool.
you could do everything beyond that. Or you could just say, instead of 8 episodes, let's do 12. I think 12 would be a good number to cover season 2.
Cool.
But I do know that they've been
that'd be interesting.
they've been developing season 2 since January of last year. That some article I read said that, yeah, the writers have been working on season 2 for Avatar since January last year.
That's the same.
No,
We're
that's
both
what
wrong.
it is. An article. I didn't. This is not top secret. This was some article I read.
That's all right. No, I'm just making sure. Places.
So the next question is, so that they could do that, how would you like to see it? Would you like to see it as season 2, season 3, and that's it? Or would you like to see season 2 split? Would you like to see more episodes in season 2?
I would love more episodes in season 2. Keep it 3 books or 3 seasons, just
Yeah.
more episodes in season 2. And season 3 could have 8, and it would be okay. It would be a tight 8. You know what, actually? You know what, though? I don't know. See, this is where maybe if you're going to do
series, you want to
if you're going to do it, if you're going to split, let's say you were going to split season 2 and season 3, there are appropriate places where you could split both of them. Like in season 3, you could end it at the Day of Black Sun, right?
Yeah.
Taters.
Yeah.
There's a big battle that happens halfway through season 3. You could end it there, but not a whole lot happens between that and the finale. Like, so it's like, maybe they could do 2 short seasons, or they could do one longer one. Like season 2, though, a lot happens. A lot happens.
It's
So
very
I feel
dense.
like it's very dense. They need
I'm on
more
Netflix
episodes.
now. There's only
Okay.
18 seasons, 18 episodes in season 2. But the last episode is a long one, it's 47 minutes.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Taters, how long are the episodes?
Oh, normally about 24, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, except for the season 3 finale is actually an hour and 30 minutes, hour and 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I can't remember.
Well, you've got it there.
I'm going to look at it right now. I'm going to scroll down. Yeah, hour and 32 minutes.
Yeah. It's long. The finale.
That's also what the actress said to the bishop.
And how long do we expect? Because back in the day, traditional seasons, it'd be, season 1 comes out this year, season 2 comes out next year. Obviously, the production value on these shows now is so big.
Yeah.
And
But remember, they were building from scratch for both One Piece and Avatar.
I think when we said it before, if we get One Piece next year, that'll be fine. And then if we get Avatar back season 2 year after, absolutely fine. No problem. Or bookend the year. Bookend the same year if that's possible. No?
What do you got? Why are you looking so weird, Hog?
That's how
He was born like that.
Yeah. Don't know what you meant. What do you mean by that?
Bookend the year, as in have like your Avatar at the beginning of the year, and then have your One Piece at the end of the year, or vice versa. Bookend the year.
It's still about a year apart, but it works. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I get it now.
All right.
Some more explanation, Amber. Don't woman-splain me.
I do a lot of woman-splaining.
I bet you do with a kid 12 hours a day.
Oh my gosh. No, because I'm so quiet with her. I'm just making noises. I'm like, say open the mouth.
It's a bit like being married.
Wow.
Yes, I went there.
Yeah, you did go there.
Must be that time. So come on. So in conclusion, used to it's a definite hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
This one.
From 2 fans who weren't expecting a 1-to-1, it was a success.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a loss. I think Liz, you're saying it's solid. Like you.
Yeah, 7.5 to 8 out of 10, solid. Little bit of a lull at the beginning, but yeah, it picks up, and I really enjoyed the ending.
Yeah. I think if The Drive to Survive didn't come out on Netflix as well today, I might.
We've
So,
got some good stuff coming out in a couple of. We got Dune coming out, right? And we got the
Yeah.
Three Body Problem coming out. I know you guys haven't been on top of Three Body Problem,
That's
but it looks good.
March.
no, it
Isn't
does.
the Free Body Problem looks awesome? That's coming
It
out
does.
in March, I believe. I don't know if it's
I've
coming out
heard it's
differently.
very good.
I don't know if it's coming out differently in America, but it's March over it, end of March.
Yeah.
Free Body Problem, yeah. Yeah, June
Isn't
2.
Dune earlier? Isn't
Yeah,
Dune?
June 2's next week.
Oh, is it next? Oh,
I am
Yeah.
IMAXing that. I am IMAXing Dune. It's so good. I saw IMAX first one and it was so worth it. So if you haven't seen it in the IMAX, go.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
That's what it was filmed for. It's filmed for IMAX.
I did, and I will, and I am. The tickets are booked as we speak.
awesome.
Tayters
What's
need
the
to sort
release?
it
What's
out.
the release date?
Next Friday,
28th.
March 1st.
Oh, he's next Friday.
Oh, was it March 1st or 28th? I thought it was the 28th of Feb.
No, that would be a Wednesday.
That'd be a weird day to release a huge hit.
Stupid. That would be a long weekend that Marvel do when they when they release one of their shitters on the weekend release. They release it on Wednesday.
Taters, we need to book some tickets.
I was going to say, Liz, yeah, if you're going to be about next Friday, we'll, yeah,
definitely. I'm up for that.
Cool.
Wait, here. I just read March 15th as a date. That can't be right. Why do freaking, I'm just looking for the release date. I don't need a whole, and the story was made like this. Oh, it's March 1st.
It is March 1st.
Oh,
dang.
No,
that's so soon.
Don't worry about me telling you it was March the 1st. You all go check. You all go check it.
I didn't hear you say March 1st. I heard you say next week, and then you were unsure.
Google says March 1st.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can spin my chair around, turn my back.
Got the Ones Who Lived that comes out next week as well.
Now, it's March. Is it March the 1st, everyone? June? Yeah.
Yes, March the 1st.
I'm pretty sure it's March 1st. Did you hear it was March 1st?
No,
yeah, Google says it's March 1st.
Amber, I'm so glad you're on my channel.
Just make sure you've got March 1st in your calendar. Like open up your little day planner, you know, March 1st, June. I think it's a Friday. Is it a Friday?
It is a Friday.
My diary must
Friday. It's March and it's the 1st.
Murder.
Yes.
Murder. Send Amber.
What time are you going?
On the internet. No.
Are you doing night time? Are you doing a daytime?
I don't know yet.
No.
You said you bought the tickets already.
Go.
Yeah.
Oh, Luke's bought the tickets. I don't know if we're gonna get.
Son's
He's losing his memory. I was like, he's losing his memory.
I've had too much of the spice. I've had too much of the melange. I've been on the melange all night.
Oh my gosh. It's going to be good. We've got such a great movie experience coming up for us. Just know it. How rare is that to go in knowing it's going to be good?
It's going back to the cinema again. It's just like that's the rarity.
That can be me and Amber versus Liz and Taters after June 2 because we read books and they don't.
It's been a while since I've read.
I do read books. I just don't read them often.
Yeah, we got June 2. We've got The Ones Who Live as well. That's out. I'm very excited about that.
What is The Ones Who Lived? I feel like
it's Rick Grimes' Walking Dead show.
Oh, that's right, that one.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that.
That's you guys. I don't care about zombies.
Don't do that. Don't do that. We're going to
And
do
then-
Avatar next in season 2. We're going to.
I'll watch it. I'll watch it so I can join the conversation as somebody who's never seen it.
We're going to do.
Will I enjoy it as someone who hasn't watched most of The Walking Dead? I mean, I've seen like the first few episodes, and then I was like, eh.
Potentially depends on what way they go. Depends on what way they go. I'm very apprehensive about this. If this one's not good, then I'm going to be very upset. This is the one I've been looking forward to. But yeah, the Free Body Problem. I'm very much looking forward to that.
On this one.
There's a hell of a lot. There is a hell of a lot.
My goodness.
If you don't perform this time, I'm not doing it again.
So, right, just to reiterate, March the 1st.
Reiterate.
Right. So we've got June
Hands
coming
on-
up. We've
Hands
got free
on
body
hips,
problem.
Tayters. Hands on hips.
Shut up.
Just to
We got-
reiterate. Go on. No, go.
No, I'm saying we got June. We got free body problem. We got Walking Dead, that show. And what else was it? You were just saying, Liz?
What's that
Must
free
get
body
something
problem
else.
again?
No, the zombie one.
Yeah.
Once
And
we
then-
live.
The ones
The
who
ones
live.
who live.
Yeah, Walking Dead. Yeah. Sorry, my bad.
That's
yeah.
that's a good March.
It's a very good March.
We'll
Very
be
good
busy.
March.
I remember we had a couple hogcasts ago where like nothing good's coming out.
Yeah, we've got nothing to talk about.
We still waffle.
Yeah.
I know.
That's
We
true.
can talk about nothing for a really long time.
Remember Tater's
We're
conversation?
really good at that.
We are.
Taters would say to me, I'd be going to him, oh, there's nothing to talk about. I don't want to do it. If there's nothing like relevant. And he'd be going, look, just do it.
Freeball it.
And we'll chat. And he was right, to be fair, because God, we can talk some shit for hours, can't
But that's just past experience, isn't it? When we have our little movie night, me, you, and Liz, we chat shit for hours anyway. So
we? Yeah, we just waffle. But that has been, I think that has been another different one.
Yep.
This time round for Avatar. That's been a really interesting one. And particularly, I'm happy that the fans of the original are happy. That's what that makes me happy, to be fair.
The sane fans.
Yeah, because we don't hear enough of that.
Hmm.
This modern world of adaptions and, making it for remodeling it for a modern audience. And it's
You know what's really funny? A lot of the media gave it really crappy reviews. Like it's gotten bad reviews from critics, and also people were coming out, like the big magazines and stuff and whatever, they were like saying it's terrible, it's going to be awful. Like the people who pre-screened it were saying it was bad essentially, but now the fans are getting it and going, we loved it.
yeah.
Do you think there's an agenda to that though?
I do. That's what I was kind of getting at. I just didn't know if you guys had seen any of those articles or anything.
To be honest with you, I you see one bad review, and then you end up finding more and more reviews that are pretty much saying the same thing. I'm pretty sure it's just one person's watched it and everyone else is copying.
I
It's just
kind of
like-
think so too.
But
not
in
copy and
terms
paste
of
what that person said.
but in terms of the fact that they are doing a faithful adaptation where it hasn't been messed with, the script hasn't been taken and been messed about with by loads of different people that aren't writers, which isn't the global approach at the moment. Is it a conscious effort to try and put it down because they're not doing things the way that everyone else is doing it?
Possibly, yeah.
I wonder that. It's certainly possible. I could see the strategy behind it because it's self-defense. Like, no, we've been doing it right, and all the audiences who hate it are wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. The toxic fans.
Yeah.
And it's also clickbait.
Yeah, that's true too.
Some of the reviews I was looking at on YouTube like earlier on, I thought, let's just see if there's an opposing view. Avatar, Last Airbender reviews. But you'd have people just saying it's bad, it's this, it's that, low, losing, blah, blah, blah. But all that is clickbait. You get one click, like just to click on it, and then they've got
They got what they wanted.
Yeah. But they've got what they wanted, that one click, but then not a lot to say.
Yeah.
So
And as soon as you haven't got a lot to say, you lost your credibility.
why isn't it good in your opinion? So, but we spent an hour and a half praising it, more or less, and I couldn't extract any real criticism out of these two. So,
Not really.
Nothing that wasn't a nitpick, really.
That's it. It is nitpicky bits. That's it.
Things that are really insignificant to the whole.
I never thought I'd have Netflix shills on my
After about 3 or 4 episodes, I got over the fact that he's still got his eyebrow holes and right.
Shilling from them. I hope you're getting it. I never thought. I'm only joking. No, I'm glad. No, I'm genuinely glad you're enjoying it. Like Liz said earlier, I want something to like now.
Aw, feel bad.
I want to like Daredevil Born Again, but I know I won't
Yeah, see, Netflix need that back.
Yes, give it
Yeah,
back.
Netflix need that
Get-
back.
Get
Get Daredevil back.
Getting back off those knobs at Dismal, and
Yeah.
please Netflix, give me Daredevil Born Again. But that, to be fair though, Netflix have already done that. That was series 3 of Daredevil.
Hmm.
So what Dismal are doing with that exactly? Let's keep it positive because this has been a nice, positive, excellent. Like, let's talk about Avatar and talk it up. It's been good.
Yeah, no, really good.
Do we? It's freeze frame time.
You're cool.